I was sleepy once. It was a long time ago. If you think I look tired, well, you better get your eyes checked, Buster. That's a certified WebMD diagnosable moment right there that something has gone awry with your peepers. Could a sleepy man do this? Checkmate. Point is, in my endless battle against insomnia, I happen to have stumbled across something interesting again this evening, and it pertains to last night's video about the $20 million reality TV show, Twitch streamer, fan, production, extravaganza, mansion, titties, beer, rock and roll, whatever else it was pitching itself as, called the $1 Million Fan Show. Well, I speculated that it was a big scam, and a lot of Twitch streamers had been publicly put on the website. Some had even made announcements about their endorsement of the $1 Million Fan Show, and nothing about it seemed legitimate. I'm not just going to regurgitate everything from last night's video. You can check that out if you want a deeper dive on everything that was wrong with it. But last night on stream, like 45 minutes after I posted the video, they took their website down. Then I was checking their other ancillary shit, and all of that is removed. It seems like they are scrubbing any existence of the $1 Million Fan Show from the internet. So like even the Reddit post that the livestream fail mods posted is taken down. I don't know if that was by order of the $1 Million Fan Illuminati, or if the mods that had signed an agreement with them had a come to Jesus moment that they may have been misled, so they decided to take it down. But apparently they also removed like their Discord and their socials, which is a huge blow, by the way, because the $1 Million Fan Show had like 5 Instagram followers, so really playing a sad song on the world's smallest violin now that 5 Instagram followers have been cast into oblivion, banished to the Shadow Realm. I feel like that's pretty strong evidence for my game theory that it was all a big load of hullabaloo, a bunch of hooey. I don't think a legitimate company that's putting together a $20 million grand prize reality show that is also a television program that is also employing some of the highest level production staff imaginable for a once-in-a-lifetime unforgettable experience for streamer fans. Also, their About Us section had all the telltale signs of just being AI generated, where literally every section ended with triplets where it was, it's not this, it's this. Performance, power, mentality. Mentality, tits, mentality. Like, it's just like, it was very clearly AI generated. The fucking first thing you see on their website is an AI generated image of a mansion. The whole thing just reeked of scam. And now everything has been deleted, presumably by them. I don't think, some governing body came in to, wipe them out. I think this is them trying to cover their own ass, so that way there isn't some kind of legal action taken against them. Because from what I've read, there were actually some members of some streamer communities that put money into the $1 Million Fan Show. They bought emote packages. I read a report on someone that claims to have spent a couple $100 doing so. So I imagine there was a handful of people that did legitimately lose money on this. Now, of course, you have to take those claims with a grain of salt because there's no real evidence to back it up, especially now that everything is deleted. There's nothing to prove that. But I'm inclined to believe those statements from them because these streamers are, to a lot of people, a trustworthy source. And if they're endorsing something and they say that there's a chance that they can win $20 million or whatever the fuck through like signing up for it, they will do so. And when you go to the website and do their free sign up, they're very heavily pushing you to do the monetized sign up for unlimited entries by giving them money. So I bet a lot of them were baited into doing that. Now, as I said in the last video, I am shocked that Mythic Talent actually even floated this to their creators, like Extra Emily. She, in her statement, mentioned Mythic Talent by name, that they had pitched it to her. I was surprised it made it to a streamer because anyone that even had their eyes open and neurons firing for a second would go to that website and know full well immediately, right from the jump, that this is not real, that this is fraudulent. So I did a little digging, and I was able to get in contact with an agent, not at Mythic, but at another agency that did have this exact same thing come across their desk for their streamer clients as something to pitch to them. And according to that agent, I don't know how deep into the nitty-gritty I'm allowed to get, what they sent them, the pitch deck, was extraordinarily different from what ended up making it to that website. From what I understand and from what I have been told, they were under the impression that this was an Amazon-backed production, at least initially. And at the time of receiving this offer, they didn't have a website or anything public outside of that pitch deck, I guess, they were hawking to agencies. And it is indeed a paid promotion. The streamers that are listed there were paid for this partnership, and there was no additional information available beyond the concept of the show and the promise that Amazon was behind a historic $20 million streamer fan buttfuck hullabaloo reality TV show. Now, one of the streamers also sent me the exact offer that was presented to them, which gives further confirmation to all of this. It comes from Mythic. This is the direct offer from Mythic that this streamer received. I'm not going to show the actual thing, so that way no one gets into legal hot water here. I don't want to, step on too many Legos, but I will give you the general overview for what the pitch was, the offer. Interestingly enough, the offer came back in June of 2025 from Mythic. And the opening line was about how it's an Amazon series. This is an Amazon series looking to break records, a historic $20 million prize purse reality show. It doesn't even name the show, by the way. I'm guessing back in June of 2025, they didn't even have the name of the show or anything concrete. There was no website, no mention of like LSF or brand partners or anything like that. It was just a single sentence that said, Amazon reality TV show set to air on Amazon Prime, featuring the soon-to-be-broken Guinness World Record book for biggest prize pool in history, 20 million, winning group splits money in half, 10 million to you, and 10 million to the fan. That is the entire explanation for what this deal was. Interestingly enough, like I said, June of 2025. The deliverables were a reality TV show appearance, 1 to 7 days, depending on how far you make it, and a single social post. The initial filming date was November 3rd to November 10th, but guessing, some wires got crossed there, fucking nipple clamps came down, maybe government shutdown, put that on the back burner, so that had to put the kibosh on that and shelve it till, I guess, 2026. Anyway, though, they were offering $3,000 for the streamer involvement here, plus 20% of net ticket sales from your ticket, which the streamer expressed some confusion over because they didn't believe Mythic knew that there was like this paid entry option, but in the offer it says they were getting 20% of net ticket sales. When you go, well, knowing now, hindsight's 2020, but like going to the website that existed, when you would sign up through a streamer portal, you were paying for those entries if you wanted to extend beyond just the free submission. So I'm thinking that the idea from this offer was that when someone, a fan of the streamer, did a paid entry through their portal, they would get a portion of that. So like I feel like Mythic would have had to have known that there was some kind of like paid component to the fans, but who knows? There's so little information here in the actual offer that Mythic took to the streamers. I am still extremely surprised it even made it to a single streamer as something to consider. I don't know why there wouldn't be more digging to confirm if this is actually even an Amazon show, because after the offer, they then go into like a general explanation for it, and it is so bare bones. It sounds like something that a person would cook up in 5 minutes while taking a shit after consuming like, their morning oats or something. There's not a whole lot of thought into this. Competition details. 1 creator, 1 fan group eliminated per day. $20 million cash prize. 1 creator, 2 fans. They will be gaming, IRL, and cognitive challenges. Think Survivor, but for creators. And then it just lays out like the most simple, boring shit ever for the competition. And then the Apocalypse Challenge on day 3, during which fans will compete head-to-head with each other, resulting in a mass elimination. Narrow the group down so each creator is ultimately paired with one of their original fans for the last 4 days. It's like, it's if you went to like a fucking Redditor and asked them to really quickly come up with a streamer game show or something. Now, as for the initial start date of November, the streamer was just told that it got pushed back to March. I don't think there was any like real explanation for what went wrong. Maybe bad weather, perhaps government shutdown, all kinds of possibilities for why it got moved. but they weren't really, kept up to date, kept abreast on everything going on here with this huge, giant Amazon show. I am even more surprised that any agency would have seen this and just shipped it as is, just said, fuck it, do it live. We'll send it out to our streamers to see if they'll accept the $3,000 offer with the 20% ticket sales split or whatever. Because, I feel like when you are getting this as, pitched as an Amazon production, you would probably want to confirm if this is actually coming from Amazon. Because if you're going to work at this agency managing these kind of contracts and stuff, but you're working under the impression that no one's going to tell lies on the internet, what's stopping just any old Joe Schmo Dorito dusted fingers from sending you a cold call email saying hey, this is me, Amazon, pitching you a $50 quadrillion reality television show. I'll offer $3,000 with some rev split to your streamers. Do you mind taking this to them? I'd love if they start shouting out goochsweat.org soon. It's a very legitimate reality TV show. We're Amazon, by the way. And you not press that any further, because that's what it feels like. Looking at the offer, there is no actual information about Amazon being behind this. And since this was back in June of 2025, I can understand the absence of a website a little bit more back there, because if this is an Amazon show, they're probably not going to make the website first and foremost because they don't want to spoil it or anything. I can kind of understand that. So streamers being left in the dark on, a website that they can access. This website, it didn't exist according to the streamer. It just recently popped up, which according to Whois, that does appear to be the case. Even though the domain had been registered for a while, it was updated in late December. So that's probably when it actually went live, which is when anyone could go on there and see how fraudulent it was with just a single fucking glance. So I do now understand that there were streamers that literally couldn't look up this show because the offer doesn't even have the name of the show and the website didn't exist. What I'm still confused on is why anyone would still accept that deal. And then I start to understand a bit more that they just have trust in the agency not to be presenting them with a scam. They had trust that the mythic talent, for example, like in Extra Emily's case, was bringing them something that was legitimate. So they're seeing oh, it's an Amazon show that wants to work with me and they're making this offer. Okay, this seems like a big deal. I'll sign up to that and, do the social post or whatever. Also, if you try and look up milliondollarfan.show now, the most recent update to the site was today, because the update was just nuking it, taking it down. But prior to that, it was updated in late December, which is when I imagine this went live. So now it seems like the streamers literally didn't even have access to look up the information themselves on that website, which again, doesn't take a super sleuth, fucking pinky up internet, narwhal baconing at midnight master to see that that is a fucking disaster of a website that is clearly in a shady spot, most likely looking to scam. The streamers didn't know that site was there because the deal was all the way back in June. Though I will say, looking at the offer, this should have been something that I think streamers should have been a little weary of, because it feels like it is very odd just looking at it. But I think that does fall a bit more on the agency than it does the streamer itself, because there is a level of trust from streamers with the person that is managing their brand deals, that what they are getting is not just fucking toilet paper that's trying to wipe their ass with their fans. And in this case, I am still just shocked that it even made it to the streamers in the first place. This should have been probably caught far earlier. I imagine they could have confirmed well beyond this, almost a year later, that this wasn't Amazon behind it. If they had maybe set up calls or something, or looked for any level of proof of this being Amazon, even just questioning, where is this money coming from? Who else are we working with? What is the actual production timeline and all that looking like? I feel like there was definitely a way Mythic Talent could have caught this and then never even had to get to this point where there were real victims, where based on what I've read, there were people that put in hundreds of dollars, which again, I know you have to take it with a grain of salt because there's no evidence to support those claims that people lost a ton of money, since now everything is scrubbed. But I'm inclined to believe them because the audience has a level of trust in the streamer that what they are pitching is not just a scam that's going to just rob their fucking piggy banks. So I do think that there were real victims here, and I think it was just so easily avoidable. This shit is just fucking wild that it even happened. RIP $1 Million Show. Definitely feels like it was a scam from the get-go, considering they have just vanished, poofed out of existence, and erased every trace that they were ever even here to begin with. Anyway, though, that's really about it. So, yeah.